Wonderful. Great. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. I'm very excited for the session today. We have Lakeshia joining us to talk about Classroom Systems 101 and how to structure your classrooms in ways to, increase efficiency, increase satisfaction amongst your families. For those who don't know, my name is Benny. I'm with the Playground team. Playground is an all-in-one childcare software to help you with everything from enrolling your families, managing your staff, managing your billing, communication. We're releasing some new features. Payroll was recently released. And we're releasing CRM to help you manage your marketing leads, your prospective families. So really exciting stuff here from Playground, but that's enough for me. Really excited to have Lakeshia speak about her experience as a coach with classrooms, classroom systems. So Lakeshia, without further ado, please take us away.
All right. All right, so for the next slide. All right, so we're going to do a quick multiple choice here. I want you to drop an A. When it comes to systems, are you making it up as you go? Do you want to put systems in place, but you don't know where to start? Drop a B. C, you have systems, but they kind of move like with the wind. So sometimes you use them, sometimes you don't. Okay, so just drop a B, or a C, to just kind of let me know kind of where you are. All right. So some say they want systems. You have some systems, but they're kind of blowing in the wind. So what we mean by blowing in the wind is we gotta get some consistency going there. All right, cool. All right, next slide. My goal. What is my goal for you guys today? My goal is to prepare you guys with some easy, simple tips that you can use in your classrooms right away so that you are successful. If you've never heard of me, been to any of my trainings or webinars, I believe in efficiency. I believe in getting straight to the point, no fluff. So I hope you have your notebooks and your pens ready, so that you can get some wonderful notes. All right, next slide. Who am I? I am Lakeshia Nnamani. I am based in Houston, Texas. Over the course of my career, I've been a pre-K teacher, kindergarten teacher, child development professor. I'm a preschool owner. I'm a business coach. I'm an early childhood trainer. So I literally have worked all fields of early childhood. I worked with small children, older children, and now I work with teachers and also administrators as well. So I take all of that good information and experience and education that I have to be able to create what you need. All right, next slide. So after operating my preschool for 8 years, I discovered systems the hard way, right? What do I mean by that? So I was just doing kind of like probably how everyone else was doing. Our main focus is enrollment, getting kids in the building, passes and licensing inspection. Like that was just the basics of what we were trying to do. But as my business grew, I had growing pains. And one of those growing pains had to do with teachers. Okay. If you've been in this field, you know that teachers, if they're not your number one headache, they're in the top three, right? Because we wish that we could do everything by ourselves. If we could literally clone ourselves and be in each one of those classrooms, we would, and we wouldn't hire nobody. But the states say we can't do that. We have to hire teachers. And so the issue I had when I was growing my business was it wasn't consistent at all. I had so many complaints from parents because this teacher did things this way. And then once that teacher got fired or once that teacher quit, then I'm bringing somebody new in there and that classroom is not ran the same. And now I got issues. Now I got, complaints. Now I have, parents who want to have these extra meetings with me. So one of the things that I learned the hard way is I needed to create like a franchise model. So I love McDonald's. I love Chick-fil-A. Those are like my top restaurants, right? Whether I'm in Houston or I go to Austin or I go to Atlanta, what is going to be consistent? I'm going to be able to eat the same food no matter where I go. Now, in certain locations, they may have just a slight difference on their menu, but you know what to expect no matter where you go. Whether you go to an IHOP down south or up north, you expect the same thing. We have to run our programs the same way. We need to have consistency around the board. So no matter what teacher goes into that classroom should be able to operate the exact same. It should be no confusion. All right. Next slide, let's hop into it. So I am going to share so many classroom systems that you need to be successful. I would have you guys literally here all day if I gave you all of them. So I did my best to narrow it down to the top 5 that I feel like if you put these top 5 systems in place, your life is going to be so much easier. Because I know the goal is not for you to be at your center 24/7. The goal is not for you to always have to start from scratch. The goal is not for you to continue to have to sit in parent meetings, listen to complaints about new teachers. What you desire and what I desire is to have happy parents, happy teachers, and classrooms that are full to enrollment. All right. So, what is my secret number 1?
Shut up, Carter. Close your mouth.
Okay. Secret number 1 is all about classroom schedules. Now, when I say classroom schedule, you may say, I already know about classroom schedules, but let me tell you, when was the last time you audited your classroom schedule? When was the last time you truly made sure that schedule was accurate? For a lot of us, we went on Google, we found a schedule. We typed in infant classroom schedule. We printed that schedule off because we needed that to pass license and inspection. We posted that on our wall and we've never went back to check that schedule again. All right. You need to make sure that your schedule is accurate. So I recommend every 3 months, so like once a quarter, for you to audit your classroom schedules to make sure all your classroom schedules that are posted is accurate, right? And if you know right now your classroom schedules are not accurate, I want you to reach out to your teachers and I want you to ask them to write down what they do, how they do it, what time it is, right? And so then based on that, you can go type it up. Because I want to make sure if I was to pop up into your classroom, the schedule that I see posted on the wall is the schedule that I need to see done. All right. So we're making sure that we're updating our schedules. A tip also for your schedules is for some of you guys, you need to chop down your circle time. So sometimes when I'm looking at schedules, I'm traveling, I'm working with clients, I see we have a 45-minute circle time on there. Why are you guys jam packing all of this information into one circle time? Their mama not coming to pick them up until 5:36. They don't got to learn everything at your 9 a.m. circle time. Let's break it up. And you may say, well, everything that they're learning in that circle time is important. It is, but instead of having one 45-minute circle time, you can maybe have, 5 10-minute circle times. So we're still getting all that information, but we're breaking it up. So if you see that you're having like classroom management issues and your teachers are not able to just really grab the attention of the students, it could be because your schedule is not accurate. Another thing, every time you change curriculums, your schedule should change too. So if you're using a curriculum, and let's say the curriculum that you purchase, it has something on there called a morning greeting, then on your schedule, it should say specifically morning greeting. If the curriculum has a place where it calls for a vocabulary word of the day, when I look at your schedule, I should see vocabulary word of the day. Why? Because if you don't put it on your schedule, it's not going to get done. Okay. You may have it on your schedule just as curriculum, but you only put curriculum on your schedule one time and the teachers are picking and choosing. And so you're wondering why at the end of the month they have all of this leftover curriculum materials is because they're not using it because they don't really know where to plug it in. So we want to make sure that we're taking time in aligning the curriculum directly with the schedule. All right. Tip number 2. We want to make sure that you create a resource binder. So in every single one of your classrooms, you should have a resource binder. This is the place that all of the information that they need is stored in there, okay? So this may be where you may have your transition songs in there. So the songs that all the teachers sing when it's time to line up, when it's time to clean up, when it's time to wash your hands, that's typed up. That's put inside that resource binder. Maybe checklists. How are they supposed to clean your room? Okay, that checklist that they use, that's there. All right. Maybe they are supposed to send inventory messages to let parents know how much diapers or wipes they have left or that they need. How to do that is located in that binder. Copy of minimum standards. Now, you may say, like, I'm in Texas, and our minimum standards or our child care license laws is about 200 pages long. So you may not copy that whole minimum standards and put it in that room, but you may copy the things that's relevant. So in my infant classroom, I'm going to copy things about safe sleep. I'm going to copy things about holding the babies and not propping bottles, about labeling their bottles. Like, I'm going to copy specifically those standards that they need to be reminded of consistently. That's going to be located in that resource binder. I'm also going to create a how-to manual. So for a lot of us, we create staff handbooks, and that's no problem. That was part of our licensing requirements. So we did that. But do you have a classroom operational manual, right? So this tells the teachers what to do, and it tells them how to do it, right? So for example, if you know that when they clean your room, you want to make sure that they stack your chairs in sets of 5s because you don't like them stacked in sets of 10. Nobody knows that but you. So you're fussing every day because you don't like it stacked that way, or they're putting it on top of the table and you don't like it on top of the table, but they don't know that because maybe the center that they came from, that's how they did things. And so you have to create this manual to teach your teachers, hey, this is how we operate the classrooms at this center. So what are some how-tos? So how to close down your classroom, how to do your bulletin boards, how to deep clean. So all of the how-tos you can think of, you want to put that in your resource binder. And just quick tip, once you create this operational manual that helps you keep your classrooms under control, you can also make this a part of your onboarding process. So when you are hiring new teachers and you're training them, you can bring in that classroom operational policy as well. So any individual documents that you're making for your teachers that you want them to remember, then when we make a copy, we're giving it to them. We're also putting it in that binder. So they can't say they didn't know. They can't say they forgot. How is it that you forgot? We have a resource binder in there. And if you have a resource binder in your classroom, also make sure that you're reminding your teachers to use it. So during nap time, you may say okay, you guys, don't forget to review your resource binder today. Okay, I may quiz them on that resource binder because that's how I'm going to ensure that they are actually using it, because we want it to be beneficial. All right, tip 3, communication app. So I know that for many of us, we may be using some form of a communication app. So that may be Playground, that may be Brightwell, that may be ProCare, it may be the other ones that come up. Whatever you guys are using, I need you to make a system for it. All right. So I'll give you a little story of my experience. So I did not have a system when it came to our communication app. I just, it's in the tab, it's on the tablet. All the teachers have the tablets in their classroom, and that was it. I didn't really have a system. But let me tell you what happened, right? So we had this amazing teacher in the classroom. Let's call her Miss Tracy. And Miss Tracy takes 100 photos and videos a day. I mean, Miss Tracy be on it, okay? So her parents don't never got to miss their child because they look down at their phone and Miss Tracy had already sent them an update. But then Miss Tracy leaves to go find another job or wherever she go. And now I put Miss Ashley in that classroom. And Miss Ashley only takes 3 photos a day. Do you see how that can cause issues with parents? Because Miss Tracy done spoiled them toddler parents to think they supposed to get an update every 5 minutes, right? And so when we bring somebody else in there, we now have confusion in the classroom. We now have unhappy parents because we have allowed the teacher to create this standard in this classroom that no one else can keep up with that. Okay. So when it comes to your communication app, whatever it is that you use, make sure that you are putting some type of system in place, whether you're saying, okay, for all classrooms, you need to take 3 photos in the morning, 3 photos in the afternoon. If you go over that, cool, but the baseline for all classrooms is 3 and 3. We use the communication app. We're logging diapers on there. You want to make sure, are you telling your teachers that they are supposed to be uploading kind of like as they go, or is nap time the time that they upload, and then at the end of the day they upload again? So you have to kind of figure out, because you want consistency. So when teachers leave or they come, then the parents can't say, well, this teacher logged the diapers, but this one don't, because that's just the standard for everybody. So you need to figure out how often you expect them to like post these things, and what type of footage. Do you only want photos? Is it photos and videos? Is it certain things you want? So like me, my preschool is an academic based preschool, which means that majority of the footage that my teachers are capturing is learning time, because we're telling the parents that we're academic based, and we're hyping them up for the curriculum and the fee that they're paying. So we want to prove to them that, hey, we're about what we said we were about in the tour. And so with that, that's why my teachers are primarily capturing curriculum. So figuring out what it is that you want your teachers to capture. And then also, whenever you have like a staff meeting, it's also crucial when you have your staff meeting. I always talk about my communication app in each of my meetings. And what I give them is I explain to the teachers what the expectations are. So not only the type of footage to capture, but make sure the child is happy. Because if you send that mama a photo and their child is sad, or I can see that my baby got a dry tear right there, I'm going to be on the phone calling, trying to see what's wrong with my baby, because you just sent me proof that something wrong with my child. The communication app, we want to make sure it shows our preschool in a positive light. So we want to make sure that our teachers understand the type of photos. You need to make sure their face is white. You need to make sure their shoes is tied. You want to make sure that they look nice, because we're sending that to the parents. So even if the parents don't have, ongoing access to cameras, we're still giving them the behind the scenes by providing the photos and videos. So figure out what works for you guys. All right. Tip number 4 is a lesson planning zone. So in all of your classrooms, you should have a specific zone that lesson plans are kept. Okay. So no matter if the teacher is there, no matter if you got to put a floater in there, no matter if you got to put a sub in there, no matter if you put a new teacher in there, everyone knows where to go, because we're going to have a sign that says lesson planning zone. And what's going to be in that lesson planning zone? You're going to get you 5 bins. You're going to label them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay. So today is Tuesday. So everything that's needed to be successful for Tuesday's curriculum needs to be located in that Tuesday bin. All right. So if they need a red paint, the red paint needs to be in that Tuesday bin. If they need to cut out 20 hearts, those 20 large hearts should already be cut out, and they should be inside that Tuesday bin. If they're going to read the book, Llama, Llama, I Love You, that book needs to be inside of the Tuesday bin. That is how they truly lesson plan. Because what happens is, if someone calls off and you got to put a floater in the classroom, you got to put a sub, or even worse, you got to go in that classroom, you frustrated because you don't even know what these kids supposed to be doing all day. And you're literally going out the top of your head. So in every classroom, you need to have a lesson planning zone. So what does that also means? That part of your classroom systems need to be, your teachers need to have time to actually organize and prepare their curriculum. Okay. So it's there, whatever the curriculum, like if they have like a daily overview plan. So Tuesday's overview plan should be located inside Tuesday's bin. Your teacher shouldn't be cutting out hearts. Art start at 10:30, they cutting out our hearts at 10:30. No, the kids are ready to learn. The kids are ready to do the next activity. So your teachers need to be prepared. As an administrator, you need to be checking. Okay. You need to be checking that their lesson plan bins are being prepared properly. So, what that may look like is that can be something that you do as the director or the owner. It can be something that you delegate to a assistant director to do, or one of your lead teachers, and they just go and they check and they make sure. So, for example, today during nap time or before the teachers leave, all of Wednesday should be prepared. I like my teachers to prepare a week in advance, but realistically, nap time goes by faster than you think, especially if they have kids in their classroom who don't sleep. And so, because of that, I know that it may be difficult for them to plan a whole week in advance, but you can plan 1 to 2 days in advance, right? So today, I should be checking Wednesday and Thursday bin. And then tomorrow, I may be checking Friday bin. So I'm just checking because it allows my teachers to know that I hold them accountable, and it provides that consistency. So whether or not a new teacher comes into the classroom, they know where to go. If your 2-year-old teacher now has to go work in the 4-year-old room, there should be a lesson plan zone in the 4-year-old room. So all she got to do is walk to the back, go pull her bin, and get to work. Okay. So we want to make sure that we have those zones and create you a system that works for you to check it. Because one of the things that I have learned in my time of being a preschool owner is that you have to inspect what you expect. Okay. So if you expect them to be doing that curriculum properly, you expect them to be in there teaching and following that schedule, then you have to go in and inspect it. You have to make sure that it is getting done, because if you don't make sure that it's getting done, 9 times out of 10, it won't be. We have some teachers at our program who they don't have to be monitored, and they just gonna do what needs to be done because that's just their personality. And we have some teachers that we gotta stay on them like this. Okay. So by just putting these different small things in place, it really allows your teachers to just truly thrive, and it just creates this organization in all of your rooms. All right. Tip number 5. You need a duty schedule. What is a duty schedule? I also like to call this explicit schedule. So we have a regular classroom schedule, right? And the classroom schedule tells the teacher like what is supposed to be done. It tells licensing what's supposed to be done. It tells the parents also what to expect. But a duty schedule tells that teacher exactly what we expect them to do, right? So what that may look like for me is, let's say art time is at 10:30. Then on that duty schedule, it's going to say at 10:25, put on the cleanup song and instruct the kids to go sit at the art table. You see how it gave direction, okay? It may say, okay, snack time is at 1:30. At 1:25 or 1:20, go ahead and start making apple juice cups. Go ahead and so it's giving them the play-by-play. This duty schedule is so beneficial because, again, when you're bringing on new teachers and you are onboarding and you are hiring them, you are able to truly give them a play-by-play of what their expectation is, right? You are able to really tell them like, hey, like this is what you're going to be doing all day. If you have multiple teachers in the classroom, the duty schedule is so beautiful as well because I break everyone's duties up. So I'll say, for example, if you have in your baby room, you have 2 teachers in your baby room. I have a teacher A and I have a teacher B, which means that for all of the kids that's in that babies that's in that classroom, they are either labeled with an A or labeled with a B. So teacher A is responsible for changing A children. Teacher B is responsible for changing B children. That way it's no confusion. That way it's not, oh, I thought she did it. Oh, I thought she did it. Or I'm doing all the work. We're going in and we're dividing it up and we're telling everyone what to do. And so with that duty schedule, it'll say something like, okay, lunchtime is at 11:30. At 11:15, Teacher A is responsible for reading a story to everybody. That's what teacher A is doing. While teacher A is doing story time, teacher B is making bottles for lunch. Teacher B is pulling bibs and making sure that the bibs are all ready to go. So we're not all doing the same thing. We're dividing and conquering, right? Teacher A may go ahead and start, diaper changes while teacher B is playing with the kids in playtime. Or after lunch, both teachers change their kids, but teacher A pats everybody down. Teacher B goes ahead and starts cleaning. Okay. So that duty schedule just gives everyone just explicit directions on what it is that you are expecting them to do. Okay. Because a lot of times when we put multiple teachers in a classroom, it brings chaos because one person's used to doing everything by themselves and now they got another person and this other person ain't really holding their weight and it's causing confusion. But if you have this duty schedule, it don't matter who come into your classroom, the classroom is going to be ran the exact same way, because no matter whether Miss Ashley in here, Miss Tracy in here, Miss Lakeisha's in here, or Miss Maria is in here at 9:15, you're supposed to be putting out AM snack. That's just the consistency across the board. So you want to make sure that everyone knows their role and everyone knows like what is expected. And this document that you create, it's not going to be perfect the first time that you do it. You're going to continue to add to it. You're going to continue to perfect it. Right now, you can even ask your teachers to write down explicitly what they do. And based on what they do, you type that up. You may need to tweak it a little bit. And that will help you, again, be able to put systems in place so that your rooms run smoothly. All right. Next slide. Let's recap. So, what were the 5 tips? Number 1, classroom schedule. Make sure that your schedules are updated and they align with your curriculum. Tip 2, make sure that you have a resource binder. So in each classroom, you're going to be copies of documents that the teachers need to be successful, checklists, forms, minimum standards, all that good stuff, how-to operational manuals. Tip 3, you want to make sure that you have a system or a process when it comes to your communication app. So whatever app you're using, okay, you need to make sure you have on there playground app systems, okay, and they just know what to do. Also, if you know you have some teachers who are tech challenged and they don't really know how to use tech that well, you may need to make them a cheat sheet so that they know what buttons to press to do what. Okay. Tip 4, when it comes to creating a lesson planning zone. So in each one of your classrooms, you should have a zone where your lesson plans live so that you don't have to be playing hide and seek with the curriculum materials. You know where they are. And then tip 5 is to create an explicit schedule. All right. And the explicit schedule tells everyone what it is that they are expected to do. Next. So you have to think about, are your systems costing you or saving you? When you don't have systems in place, you are wasting a lot of valuable time because you're going to keep saying the same things over and over. Or if you don't have classroom organization systems or teacher systems in place, it's going to cause confusion in your classroom, which can cause you to get licensing deficiencies. It can cause you to have incidents happen in your classroom. It can cause your parents to want to pull their child because they're like, they do not have it going on in here. They just got teachers coming in and out of here. Don't nobody know where nothing is at because there is no order. And so we want to make sure you work so hard to get students through your doors. You work so hard to attract great, amazing teachers. We have to have organization in place because no one wants to come to work and it's unorganized. No one wants to come to work and it's confusion. All right. So, and then my last slide is just questions and answers. So does anyone have any questions about any of the classroom systems that I mentioned? Do you have just something that you need, more clarity on? The floor is open.
Thank you, Lakeisha, so much for that wonderful session. And yeah, like you said, please send over questions. El Diaz, I see you have a question. I'm going to unmute you. So if you want to go ahead and ask that, you should be able to unmute now.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Hi, Lakeshia. Thank you so much for all your insightful information and your enthusiasm and passion behind what you do. You were very engaging. You had my attention all the way through. So I appreciate and I received you today. So thank you so much for this. And my question was, so I know you were speaking on the center aspect, and I have a very an unusual circumstance or situation set up. I am a real estate course background, I have real estate, so I kind of set up where there is a franchise of in-home family child care facilities. So we operate through, of course, the Playground app, and I'm able to switch over different locations, different sites, and see how they're operating. So in a center aspect or structure, there is the classroom. But when you have multi age group, like a family child care facility, it's hard to have those different ages, those age groups. So we kind of like operate where everyone's in homeroom instead of there's an infant, there is a toddler, discovery, or, school age. So it's kind of hard in that way because there's maybe a provider as well as a teacher, sometimes an assistant that's there. So when it comes to classroom management or classroom schedule, how would you look at it or frame it from a family childcare perspective?
Got it. So it depends on whether or not the family provider has an assistant, because if the family provider has an assistant, then we would give the provider some children in a schedule, and we could give the an assistant a schedule as well. So for example, you may say, okay, while I work with the older kids and the older kids are doing handwriting, for example, the younger kids may be outside playing with that assistant teacher. So you can still tweak it to make it work for you guys, but it would need to be more so, what are these group of students doing while this other group of students do this other thing? Because the thing about multi-age is you might not be able to get them to all sit down at one time. So you more so have to tap into like small groups. So you're grouping them in smaller increments to get those things done. But it's definitely something that can be done. Even if the provider did not have an assistant, the provider can be working and doing a certain activity with these groups of children, and the other ones can be at free play, or they can be doing tabletops or doing puzzles or doing art, just kind of depending on the age and just the structure of the program.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. And then also too, are you available outside? I know you have your website, but you said you can do the consulting one-on-one, or you have availability for that?
Yes. So you guys can find me on Instagram at the Early Childhood Boss. And you can anyone can send me a DM, and I will respond to let you know, like, if you're interested in, working more with me on systems and just kind of what I offer for my clients. Good question.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
I see. Could you elaborate more on the resource binder, is what someone said. So yes. So do you want to come off of mute so you can tell me exactly the question you have about the resource binder? Jessica?
Hi, and thank you.
You're welcome.
So my question about the resource binder is, I think I missed it. I was in the middle of listening to my kids here at the preschool. So what kind of materials can we add in the resource binder? And is this a resource binder for the parents, or is it a resource binder for us to have at the center?
It's a resource binder for your teachers. So your teachers is kind of like a reminder. So they can't say that they don't know how to do something because their reminder is there. So it's an example of songs that you want them to sing, like transition songs. It'll be like your cleaning checklist, so they know how to clean your classroom. It'll be copies of like your childcare license and laws. It'll be copies of like how to do your bulletin board, or how to request additional materials for your classroom. So anything that the teachers need to be successful, instead of them continuing to have to ask you guys, this is a place where they can go and get all that information. It's the things that's needed for the classroom to run smoothly.
Perfect. And I just wanted to say you're truly inspiring. I follow you on Instagram, and I've been following you opening up your new preschool center, and it looks beautiful so far. So good luck.
You look at you
You're
guys today.
welcome.
You're gonna make me blush. Let's see. Was there another
There's
question?
another question in the chat from Danielle Brown on how did you start your center?
So how did I start? First, I had the courage to step out on faith and do that because I was a teacher prior to me starting. And so it just really started by me just learning more about childcare license laws and finding a location that fit my budget. And so if you're looking to start, you have to assess your financial situation and decide whether or not starting in home or starting a center is best for you. And don't let anyone kind of like make you feel bad about your decision, because you have to do what works for you, because it can be expensive. And so once I got my budget in place, then I found locations only that was in my budget, because it didn't make sense to go look at something that I knew I couldn't afford. And so just from there, I just enrolled kids, marketed, trial and error. The first step that I always tell someone if you are looking to start is to read your local laws, because that's going to determine like where you can have your center and get your money together. So read your laws and get your money together. Those are the top two to kind of get you started. And just give yourself time to make sure that this is definitely something that you want to do. By attending different webinars like this is great. By attending conferences, that's great. And just really just tapping into just like the information.
Totally. And I think Daniel from our team will also be sending a chat message with a blog post that we recently published on how to start a childcare or daycare business, for those of you who are more interested in the getting started phase. But again, Lakeshia is a great resource to have. You guys should definitely connect with her on Instagram and reach out to her if you're interested in her services, because from the little I've worked with her, I've already seen the incredible quality that she offers. And the people that have joined here today even are speaking to that as well. So super grateful to that. If anyone has any other questions, please go ahead and send them in the chat. Otherwise, this recording will be sent out to everyone. Okay, Diaz has another question. Let's see it.
Utilize as much information as possible. You are mine to be picked at, Lakeshia. So thank you. And I'm very just intrigued. So my question is, have you got a chance to tap into AI yet when it comes to detailing the duty schedule? Because it can be a little bit overwhelming, and something that especially as a director or a preschool owner or a family child care provider, there are so many tasks. And then trying to really be having those intricacies, those details, step-by-step guide can be very overwhelming, but also discouraging and then kind of set back. So is there an easier way, or have you tapped into AI, or have that been a useful tool and getting that factor, created?
So I will say that I have an assistant, and so my assistant does tap into AI. I do not have any like recommendation for you specifically, but if you send me an Instagram message, I can ask my assistant and get that for you. But what I will say, just start where you are. So when it comes to just trying to put systems in place, start with the basics. So what I always tell my clients is, spend a day in one of your classrooms. So say today I'm going to spend the day in my toddler classroom, and just sit in the back and write down as much as you see. How do they line up? Where do they keep their cleaning supplies? And just sit and devote that day to just writing down what you see. And then either you type that up, or you can give that to somebody else to type up. And then you're just going to rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. Your systems are not going to be perfect the first time. Even if you use a tool like AI, you still have to have something to start with, because you want to make sure that what they create fits your program. You want to make sure that it aligns with what it is that you do there. And so I like to use, if I'm going to use something like that, it's to add on to what I already have. So we got to make sure that we have, a basis to start with. And like I said, I always recommend taking it one class at a time. And so, looking at your schedule, and maybe you may only have time one time a week to devote to a classroom. But if you even started that, by the end of the year, you should have some systems in place for your rooms. Okay?
Understood. Okay, that makes sense. So thank you for breaking that down. Thank you.
You're
And I
welcome.
will piggyback on there to say that if you are using Playground, we have an AI built into Playground. It's called Camber. You can access that
Oh.
through your account, and you can use that to essentially help you build out anything from these day-to-day activities and lesson plans, and also just overall schedules. Obviously, like Lakeshia said, you need to kind of give it the meat of what the real details, because AI is not going to know the real schedule of your program until you tell it, hey, my families arrive at 7:30. Circle time is at 2, whatever, all your actual details. And then from there, it can help you organize it, make it more concise, flesh it out a bit more, and do a bit more of that extra work. But you need to ground it in the reality of your program, as always. And like I tell people all the time, it's a tool, but it shouldn't replace your thinking as a whole. You need to still be involved and make sure what it gives you is aligned with what your goals are.
Okay. All right, and then I think we have one more question. In my business coaching, yeah. So in my business, I have a membership, and so I have a systems membership. It does offer templates and things like that, and I provide group coaching. So just send me an Instagram message, anyone who's interested, and from there I can let you know what I offer, and you can just decide what may work for you and what may work for your center. Thank you guys so very much. And I hope
Thank
you
you
learned so
everyone
much.
for joining. If you have, again, questions, DM Lakeshia, reach out to us at Playground. We are happy to chat with you as well. And this recording will be sent over to you for your reference. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Lakeshia, so much for all the wonderful knowledge. And we hope to see you guys all soon. We have another webinar coming up next week, so join us for that one if you're able to. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.